Hello BookTube and welcome to a new iteration of the channel. We're in 4K resolution, Ultra HD, Blu-ray. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly higher quality than it was, or it surely must be. And welcome to Tag Corner. I've been shopping around for a tag to do for a little while now, and I've come across or decided to do the Reading Pet Peeves tag, which I've seen a few people do. Most recently, I watched Book Time with Ryan do it. It's a channel new to me, but from what I've seen so far, it's excellent. So, I highly recommend you check him out and subscribe. I'll link to him down below. He opens his version of a tag, or the video opens with a cover version of the song Creep by Radiohead, which, although not my favourite song, is a song by Radiohead, so it's a thumbs up in my book, and it's insta like, insta subscribe from me. But this tag seems like quite a simple, easy little tag to do. So I don't believe I've been tagged by anyone in anything, but I'm going to do it anyway. Question number one is, do you use or read along with audiobooks? And the answer is no, I don't. I don't really have any desire to listen to an audiobook. Um, for some reason, I see a white bar at the bottom of the screen, but I'm not quite sure if that's must just be the phone. Anyway, um, what was I saying? Yeah, the only time I've ever even attempted to listen to an audiobook was years ago at university. I had a job, which was about an hour's walk away, and I was listening to a lot of music, and I figured, well, um, I may as well, try. It seems like a good opportunity to try to listen to an audiobook for a change. So what I did was end up downloading Game of Thrones, the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire series for free, and I started listening to it, and I was quite enjoying it, to be fair. And but one day I set off for work. I think I had to leave about 7 a.m., and it was just pouring with rain, and I just had this skinny little raincoat on, which offered no protection whatsoever, and no umbrella, and it was torrential rain, and rivers were forming in the streets, and I was getting soaked through, and I ended up just taking out my anger at the audiobook and ripping out the headphones, and I never returned to the audiobook. So, and that was it. That terminated my relationship with audiobooks, and since then I've just, as I say, I've never had any real desire. I can't imagine a time or an instance in my day where I would be listening to an audiobook. Really, I just much rather be reading a book. Um, I appreciate that there are many people on BookTube who love them and swear by them, but I'm just and I appreciate that I might be missing out, but to be honest, I'm not that bothered. So quite happy to keep things the way they are. Question number two is, do you utilize your local library? Yes, I do. I don't currently have any books out on loan, but I have read a few books out of the library this year, and my local library is currently the Ely City Library, which is quite good. They've got quite a good selection. I can go in there and come out with about 4 or 5 books, and they've got quite a good new release section as well. I used to use um, excuse me, the main public library in Cambridge, which is in the Grand Arcade shopping centre. But I don't, and that library is much bigger and has a wider selection, and it's really good. But I don't often get to the town centre these days, so it doesn't really make much sense for me to be using that. I suppose technically, because it's all part of the Cambridgeshire County Council library system, I could get interlibrary loans, but that costs money, so I can't imagine actually doing that. It just makes me yearn for the days of university when I could use the university library, which was magnificent. Have 30 books out at any given time and unlimited free interlibrary loans, and oh, this selection. the selection they had was just amazing. I made very good use of that library, so I don't have any regrets in that regards. But I just really miss it. But I think it will quite be the same again. But yeah, I mean, it's important to utilize your local library, obviously. Question number three: do you DNF books? Not really, not at all. I tend to just I like to just see things through to the end. So even if I'm not particularly enjoying something, I'll end up reading it all. Um, I'm not entirely sure why that is. Other than that, I believe there's always something to be gained from finishing a book, unless it's just that bad. Um, but usually, it's been published for a reason, so there's usually something to be gained. Um, and on the other hand, I used to DNF on books a lot, too much. Um, Early on in my reading life, I would just DNF books all the time, and I'd think back to a novel that I half read, for example, and think to myself, why did I actually, DNF that book? And you can never really come up with a satisfactory answer. So, I'd much rather be in a current situation where I finish books that I'm not particularly enjoying anyway. I suppose I do get kind of a masochistic thrill from reading books that I'm not enjoying. I don't know. Just sort of read along and laugh along with something. But anyway, question number four: do you read multiple books at the same time? Yes, I do, but only from sort of different categories. So I have just one novel on the go. Maybe a couple of non-fiction books. Certainly, at least one non-fiction book, depending on what they are. A poetry collection and maybe a short story collection as well. But I used to read sort of multiple novels at the same time, which I don't think I could really do anymore. But I probably read more because of that. Excuse me. And uh, the way I read now, I sometimes end up getting bogged down with a novel for like weeks on end, and then end up not reading that much because of it. Whereas if I'd been reading a novel on the side, then I'd perhaps get through more books. Um, anyway, question number five: do you make time or have a specific time in your day devoted to reading? Well, if I'm working from home or if it's the weekend, I um read first thing in the morning. So I get up about six or 6:15, and which gives me a good hour and a half of reading before I even have to think about getting up for work. Um, and that is absolutely my favourite time of the day to be reading. I'm just at my most alert and focused, um, and I love doing that. Um, and also, I read before bed or when I go to bed, so for a couple of hours in the evening at least. Also, a good time for me to be reading. If I have a day off work or if it's a weekend, then yeah, I try to read in the afternoon, but I end up just getting too tired and falling asleep. So, or there's always something to do as an obligation or a chore or something, or get shopping in or something. Um, Back in the day, I used to just be able to read, from morning to midnight without stopping for a breath and just read hundreds of pages in a day, but I can't seem to do that anymore. Don't really have the capacity. Um, where are we? Question number six: do you dog ear books? No, no, I don't. I don't really have any reason to. I've got so many bookmarks around the house. There's always a bookmark within reach, so just grab one and stick it in. Question number seven: do you annotate your books? I not so much these days. The most I'll do is just mark a margin with a pencil mark, something that I might want to return to or remember, or put a question mark in the margin. If I don't agree with something or if I'm confused by something, um, but that's it really. And obviously when I was at university, I heavily annotated books for the purposes of writing essays and things. But Now I'm more of a leisurely reader. I don't really do that. And the final question is question number 8. How do you feel about spoilers? I don't really mind spoilers. And the kind of books I read don't tend to be affected by spoilers anyway. So if it's like literary fiction or non-fiction, then yeah, it's not really um, the purpose of the book. So not bothered at all really. And if you can extend the question to film and television, I'm still not that bothered. It's just, maybe in the past it might have bothered me, but I've just sort of grown out of that kind of thing. So I mean that's actually the whole tag. So short and sweet. I can't imagine, there are many people have anyone out, and is anyone out there who hasn't done the tag yet. But if you really feel the need to do it, then please consider yourself tagged by myself. And I'd like to look forward to seeing your answers. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.